بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hadith number 71 is عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقول اللهم إني أسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى رواه مسلم. The hadith mentions that Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم he used to recite كان يقول, and as some of the scholars mentioned, when you hear this type of phrase كان يقول, it means this is something that he often used to say. This is something that he often used to recite. So this is a dua from amongst the prophetic du'as that the Prophet ﷺ would hold on to and recite often. And it says, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-huda wa-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. Oh Allah, indeed I ask you for al-huda, number one. I ask you for guidance. Oh Allah, I ask you for guidance. Al-huda. And huda here, this word guidance, it includes knowledge as well. And I ask you for ilm as well as guidance to the straight path. Because there can be no correct guidance without knowledge. We can never be sure that we are certain or have certainty that we are upon the haqq until we know with ilm what the Quran has stated and what Rasulullah ﷺ has stated. If we can stick to this and we know this, then we can be sure, inshaAllah, that we are upon guidance. So when we are asking Allah for guidance here, bi'idhnillah, we are asking Him for knowledge and also guidance towards the truth. وَالتُّقَى, and we ask Him for tuqa, which is taqwa. Hence the author brought it into this chapter of taqwa. So we ask, the Prophet ﷺ would ask Allah for taqwa, to make him of those who fear Allah, to make him of those who abstain from that which is haram, and those who fulfill the commandments of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is the dua that's coming from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember, he is the person who's definitely upon guidance. Allah blesses him with knowledge, yet he is making this dua. He is definitely a person who's a muttaqi, person of taqwa. He's the head of the people of taqwa. He's making this dua. And remember this. And thirdly, wal-afaf. We ask you, Allah, for chastity, to make us people who are pure, people who are chaste, people who are modest, people who stay away from immoralities, fawahish, people who stay away from zina and anything that leads to zina. People protect their private parts and their limbs from disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal, whether it's in public or in private. Afaf. He wants to be someone who is pure and chaste. Wal-ghina. And he asks Allah for wealth. Ghina here means self-sufficiency. So that a person is not in need of others. As a Muslim, we don't want to be in need and dependent upon anybody except Allah Azza wa Jal. This is what Islam teaches us. We are not people who want to be asking others, relying on others. We should be people who are working hard, making sure, this comes from Allah, we know this, but we have to make an effort to be people who are free from others. Because when you depend on others, and when you have to ask others, and run after others, there's a form of humiliation in this. There's a form of tadallul, this lowers a person's esteem. But the believer who only relies on Allah Azza wa Jal, his tawakkul, his trust is only in Allah Azza wa Jal, they only finds honor in this. When we humble ourselves to people, we feel humiliated. When we humble ourselves to Allah, this is honor. This is not humiliation. This is honor. This is a person raising himself. So we want ghina, we want to be, this doesn't mean extremely wealthy, the richest of the rich. It means we at least have self-sufficiency. We have qana'ah. We have contentment with what Allah Azza wa Jalla has given us. This is true richness, as they say. True richness is to be content with what Allah has given you. Because you have people, their bank accounts are full, but they have no contentment. And you have others, they have very little, but they have contentment. That is the ghani. He's actually the wealthy person. He has qana'ah. So this is what we are asking Allah Azza wa Jal for in this dua. And it's coming from who? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The person who was upon guidance 100%. The person who was the head of the people of taqwa, the most chaste of all people. And he was not someone who asked anybody. He had that self-sufficiency even if he had nothing in his home. You didn't find him knocking on doors asking. He had that ghina. So this is a dua every believer should be making on a daily basis. You should be reciting this dua often. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-huda wal-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us all of these traits, as these are noble traits to have. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.